Today is one of the most exciting times to be in business. And it really boils down to some changes that are taking place on today's social internet. But the core change is this. In the good old days, people looked at the source first. In other words, who are you? That came first. The question, who are you, came first. What did you say or what did you do? That came second. In other words, people looked at the source first and your content second. That's what's changed. That's what's turned around today, and it's exactly the reverse. Today, they look at the content first. They look at the content first and they ask who you are second. And the reason for that is because all of these different social media platforms allow you to endorse your peers' content, to say, I like this, or I like that, or I don't like this, or I don't like that. Yelp is obviously a classic example of where people are posting reviews online. But YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, all these places are places where you can endorse somebody's content by liking it or voting for it or following them or whatever the case may be. And of course, the social bookmarking platforms, that's what they're all about as well, is you can dig something or you can post it on Delicious or whatever. You can stumble it. But the point is, when they look at the content first, when people look at the content first, it doesn't matter who you are anymore. In other words, you don't have to be a rich, successful person already to get people's attention. You need to have good quality content. And if you have good quality content, that's all that matters. Okay, now think this thing through. Think about Barack Obama. Whether you like him or whether you hate him, it doesn't matter. He's become a polarizing figure. I don't care what your politics are. But how did he get elected? I mean, he doesn't exactly fit the usual pedigree, right, of a U.S. president. People looked at the content first, and they asked, who are you second? He was nobody. That guy was nobody. 10 years ago, nobody. He was a community organizer. And today, he's president of the United States. That's a meteoric rise. Why did that happen? How did that happen? It happened because people look at the content first and the source second. So the real question is, what is your content? If people are going to look at your content first and ask who you are second, you need to have good quality content. And I really break it down into three things. And I want you to think about these things within the context of your own business. First, what are the biggest mistakes your customers are making? Right? You know, you see it all the time. You interface with your customers every day. You see these patterns all the time. All your customers are making the same mistakes. And you know what those mistakes are. I don't know. I'm not in your business. I don't know what those mistakes are. You do. That's your expertise. That's your knowledge. That's the value that you can share on today's social internet. And people will be happy. People will share it. People will endorse it because they're like, you just saved me or prevented me from making a mistake, right? Because you can tell them those mistakes up front. So number one, what are the biggest mistakes your customers are making? Number two, what are the tips, tricks, and tools that will make their lives easier? Again, you know. Whatever industry you're in, whatever your business is, you know what those tricks are. You know what those tips are and the tools. I know the tools in my business, right? Online marketing, online branding, social media. I know those tools really well. But I don't know your business, you do. So what are those tips, tricks, and tools? Share those. And a lot of people get hung up on that because they're like, I don't want to give away my best secrets. That's good content. I don't want to just tell everybody. Don't worry about it. Seriously, don't worry about it. Because here's the thing. The people who won't hire you, they're not going to hire you either way. In other words, there are people out there who may take your knowledge and run with it and go improve their lives without paying you a penny, but they wouldn't hire you anyway, so you're not losing anything. The people you're trying to impress are the people who don't have time to do what you do. You have time to do that. They're too busy. They have a business model that's working already, they're making money, and they're slammed busy. They need you to take care of it. By sharing the tips, tricks, and tools, you're demonstrating to that person that you know what you're talking about. That's very valuable. So get that stuff out there. Share that stuff in the public domain. Make a video like the video I'm making right now. So number one, what are the biggest mistakes your customers are making? Number two, what are the tips, tricks, and tools that would make their lives easier? And number three, what's the cultural revolution in your industry? I just told you what it was in my industry. In my industry, the cultural revolution is that they look at the content first and the source second. That used to be the opposite. They used to look at the source first. Today, they look at the content first. That's a cultural revolution. That's a cultural revolution in my industry. And I'm sharing that in the public domain, and maybe that's interesting to you. But there's things changing in your industry too. And there are people in your audience who will be interested in those trends that you see, those changes that you watch, right? You see what's changing in your industry. That means that you probably know where it's going to be, what your industry is going to look like 2, 3, 4 years from now. That's valuable information. That's your expertise. That's what sets you apart, is that you see those things and other people don't. So I encourage you to share those things in the public domain. Share your knowledge, share your expertise, share your content. And if you have good quality content, people will reward you by endorsing it, and they'll ask who you are second. Don't get on a video and say, I've got 20 years experience, that's why you should listen to me. They don't care. What they want is for you to get on the video and say, look, I've got some great information. Here it is. And the fact that you have 20 years experience is maybe only a background piece of information that justifies how you have all this great information. Go out there and take advantage of it. It's an amazing time to be in business and to be alive on today's social internet.